Hey guys, so I'm coming to you with a DIY to show you how I made my extra large jumbo magnetic palette that holds 154 standard 26mm size eyeshadows. That's the size of a Makeup Geek, Anastasia Beverly Hills, a MAC shadow, like standard eyeshadow size. 154 of those bad boys are in this palette that I created from an old book, some magnetic sheets, and some foam board. The desire for this palette is because I own a lot of Coastal Scents Hot Pots. I own over 200 of them. I own a lot of other magnetic shadows, but Coastal Scents is definitely ones I have the most of. And even with my Adept Cosmetics palettes that I got from Amazon, they hold 90 or so shadows. I still have 2 of these full, and these are $35 a piece. And my Coastal Scents are rolling over out of 2 of them, so I would need to buy a third one. These are $35 a piece, so that's almost $100 or over $100 if I had to buy a third one. And I'm just like, to just hold shadows. And I know Coastal Scents has some magnetic, basically, the magnetic palettes that I have in my collection were not big enough, and I was like, I need a huge one. I know Give Me Glow Cosmetics came out with a magnetic palette, or it's coming out with one, but I know it's like $40+, and it's also it holds maybe like 80 or so. So again, there's nothing on the market this huge. It's not really meant for travel, although it is pretty sturdy. It's a magnetic closure and everything like that. If you wanted to take this with you like a sleepover situation or whatever, but I wouldn't travel with it. It's too big. It's not really compact enough for that. But it's to have all my shadows or a lot of shadows visually at one point in time. Also, I didn't mention in the tutorial, but if you wanted to, you can go to Dollar Tree and get one of those mirrors that they have and glue that to the top. I didn't. But you can if you want to. So yeah, if you want to know how I got, and the book that I found, that I used, like this size book, I'm going to link it down below. I found it in a store, but it is sold on Amazon, the book that I used. So I'll link it down below. In total, to do this project, it was probably around 20 bucks, 20 or so. That's including decorations. You don't have to decorate your book with what I used. You could paint it. You could do whatever you have in your house, but out of stuff I had to buy, and you might have an old big book in your house, so fairly cheap for 154 eyeshadow storage. So if you want to know how I made my palette, and it does flip all the way back, just keep watching. Okay guys, so the things you will need are a big book. I got this book from Ollie's. It was like $5. It's this huge Frozen book. Yeah, so any big book, you can try your thrift stores, different places. Kids' books tend to come really big, and you want to make sure it's hardback because that's going to be your frame for the book. It's hard. That's going to be your frame for the palette. So yeah, you're going to need a nice big book or a book of your size. You don't have to make this jumbo palette. You can make a small one. You're also going to need foam board. You're only going to need one for one palette, or even less than one. I got this from the Dollar Tree. It's $1. You can use whatever color you want. I'm going to cover mine, so it really doesn't matter. You're also going to need some of these magnetic sheets. I got these from Walmart for about $2, actually like $1.97. There's 2 in a pack. You're going to need more than this if you're making a jumbo one, but depending on the size, then you can buy as many magnetic sheets as you need. Okay? The tools I used are scissors. You're also going to need some sort of box cutter for the foam board. I have a pencil, and I also have a ruler. And I'm also going to be using my hot glue gun for a task or two. Okay? You can use any kind of glue you want. You know, it's up to you, but I like hot glue. And then for my decoration or my cover, I'm going to use this Chevron contact paper. It's adhesive on one side and the pattern on the other side. And so that's what I'm going to use to cover my board. So here we go. Let's get started. First thing you're going to do is take your box cutter, and what you're going to do is cut the pages out of the book. I know, destroying a book, but they should come right out because they're sewn in. And go ahead and cut the pages out of the book, and now you have just a flat surface. So the next thing you're going to do is measure your foam board. You want to cut a square out that is the same size as one side of the book, without including the little hinge, the spine of it. Okay, so I'm creating that square of that size. And what this is going to do, I'm creating the frame, like the border that'll be around the eyeshadows that It's like the spacer when you shut the palette. Okay, so I'm taking my box cutter and I'm cutting out this square. Foam board doesn't play nice all the time, but there it is. There's my square. And then make sure it fits. Okay, we're good to go. And then what you're going to do is take and make, basically you're making a box inside this box and leaving about, I left about almost a half an inch of foam around, like a frame. You're making a thin frame. So my frame is, it's not even a half an inch. It's probably about, dang, I don't know. It's not a half an inch. So I'm trying to give you another fraction, but I couldn't. So what I'm doing now is I'm cutting out the inside square of that. And this is just the easiest way to make a frame. Unless you want to cut 4 skinny pieces of foam board, hoping they're all the same. I did that at first and I just didn't like it. So I just made a whole frame and there we go. So everything fits nice. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cover the board. Now, what I decided to do, cover the book. What I decided to do was cover it all pretty much in one piece. You want to cover everything. I mean, if you want to cover it at all, you want to cover everything, except the side. You don't want to waste contact paper, except the side you're going to put the magnetic sheets on because you really don't need that. So what I'm doing is I'm covering the book. It's very sticky, but it peels apart nicely without ripping. So if you get it stuck somewhere, yeah, so I'm just covering the book. And I'm actually covering like in one piece. I was being lazy. Like if you want it to be like uniform, go ahead and cover it in one piece. And I'm just giving some overlay like over the spine part, but I'm not covering, like I don't need to cover that other side because magnetic sheets are going to go there. So now what I'm doing is just trimming off excess so I can fold over one side onto the inside of the palette. You can if you want to do it neater, or mine came up pretty neat, but like if you really ain't know about the patterns matching up, you can take your time with this, do it in multiple sheets, multiple cuts. I just tried to cover it with one big piece. It's completely up to you. I used a little bit of clear tape. If anything is just not sticking well, clear tape works fine for this. It's up to you. So you see as what I'm doing, I'm cutting off just the excess and folding one part down so my entire outside of the palette as well as the inside that will be shown. And you see I have a little air bubble there. It doesn't bother me now. If you want to make sure you get all the air out, there you go. But now the palette is covered, and so what I'm going to do now is cover the frame or the border that's going inside the palette. So this is the easiest way I found to do it. It's kind of tricky. It's just a lot of cuts and folds and stuff. So what I do is I take my contact paper. I use a little nail file to trim off some of that foam that was fraying. Anyway, let it stick to the contact paper. And then what I'm doing now, if it works, I'm cutting the inside square out. We're just wrapping the frame. That's all we're doing is wrapping the frame. So we don't need that excess. So I'm wrapping the frame, and now I'm just cutting my corners and different things so I'm able to allow the contact paper to fold over and stick on one side, like this. I guess you can just see what I'm doing here. Cutting any excess product, excess contact paper. It takes a while. It's not the best method I found, but it's definitely the fastest method. And it doesn't bother me none if there's a little bump or bubble here and there. Yeah, so this is what I'm doing here. You can do it however you like. You could paint the frame. You could not even cover the frame. If the frame matches your palette or whatever, you don't have to do anything to the foam board. You don't have to cover it up at all. If you find a really pretty book, you wouldn't have to either. So here's my frame all set and taped and ready to go. So I'm just taping some corners down, making sure it works. And as you see here, I'm just testing again. Look how it fits in really nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm checking to see how many magnetic sheets I'm going to need. I think I need 5-ish. I had to trim some, but that's what I'm doing now. The magnetic sheets from Walmart have adhesive on the back of them, and so just peel it off and stick. See my air bubbles, you guys? I was impressed. It still works with the air bubbles just fine. So I'm cutting and trimming. Remember, you don't have to go all the way out to the edges because you have a border there. You have a border. You're gonna have a frame on it. So yeah. So as I'm doing that, I'm going through and I'm just cutting, trimming pieces and everything. Like I needed technically 4 whole ones and then cutting some up to make the excess space or whatever for the other for the last little bit of it. So you're talking 5. So that would be, you need to buy 3 packs at Walmart, which is like $6 because there's 2 in each pack. And now I'm going to take my hot glue gun and I'm going to drench this frame, the underside of this frame, in hot glue so I can stick it to my book. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here. I'm putting my hot glue on, and be careful, hot glue can be very hot because I burn myself all the time with hot glue. And I'm pressing it down around the magnetic sheet, and that's how you got it all nice and uniform. When you close it and open it, there you go. And by being a book, it does come around the sides. It does flip around to the back. I'm sorry, it does flip around to the back. And so what I'm doing here is I'm cutting 4 little pieces of magnet. Make sure you buy, this is not the same type of magnet of magnetic sheet. This is at Walmart as well. It's their thicker magnet, little strips. It's just thicker and they're stronger. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting 2 little pieces. I'm sticking them together with the magnet part, and then I am putting them on one side and closing the palette so the other side will stick and I know it lines up nicely. And that is it. Wait. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. If you have any questions about how I made it or whatever, any other things, go ahead and leave them down below. I love you all, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye!